Absolutely.
Okay. We'll call our meeting to order. And Melissa, if you'll take roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer,
Here?
Commissioner Maxon,
Here.
Commissioner York,
Here.
Vice Mayor Doan,
Here.
Mayor Van Oster.
Here. Okay, we'll now move on to our invocation by Pastor Joel Thompson of the Coffeyville Nazarene Church. Pastor Thompson, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here too. Thanks for affording me this opportunity. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight with a renewed warmth in our hearts and even in our bodies that maybe we haven't felt in a little while. And God, we just want to bless you, and as we see the snow recede and we see the grass again, we're reminded that soon that grass is going to green up, soon the flowers are going to bloom, the trees are going to bud out, and we're going to be reminded of all the regrowth, the rebirth, the renewal that you have planned. God, I pray the same thing in each one of our lives. God, I want to pray a special prayer, a special blessing on all the men and women that are standing before me, the city leaders. God, just bless them in everything that they do. God, help them to make good decisions, wise decisions, and God, just help everything that they do leading our city bring glory and honor back to you. God, we pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, review our agenda. Does anybody else have anything to add to it or change or anything on it? That's what we were presented for this evening. Okay, we will now move ahead excuse me, I didn't read right. We need to move to approve the amended agenda to add new business item number 3, which is resolution R-21-13 to the agenda. So we do need that, and I will make a motion to do so.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve the amended agenda to add new business item number 3, resolution R-21-13 to the agenda. Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Then we'll move on to our consent agenda, which consists of the City Commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, and our 2021 appropriation ordinance number AO-21-04 for $3,940,767.82. Do you have any questions or anything to point out?
I'll go through some of the things on there since this is a larger one. We had quarterly insurance, about $119,000, a power purchase of almost $2.4 million. 10th Street sidewalk, $9,000, gas charges, a little over $200,000. We renewed some tags for $5,000, contractual agreements for $36,000, and then an energy purchase for $15,000. The packet total was $3,565,000, and then the payroll is about $375,000. So those were the main points that I took away from the items in the.
Did you mention the SPP payment as well, the Southwest Power Pool, the transmission, $553,000?
I didn't mention that one, nope. So, hey, good catch.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Okay, if not, I'll make a motion to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Okay, moving on, we have 2021 appropriation ordinance number AO-21-04A for ISHMs for $184.54. Are there any questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve item 3 in the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Bauer, seconded by Commissioner York to approve item 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Abstain?
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to comments by the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects that are not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have anything this evening by anybody present? Okay, we will move on. Okay, we will now move on to our public hearing to adopt a neighborhood revitalization plan. So at this time, I will open the public hearing and we will hear Mark Hall for comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, tonight for your consideration is to adopt the neighborhood revitalization plan. I would like to explain more of that. The other entities that are involved in this have been sent. They would be a part. It is authorizing the mayor to sign this. There would be also the college, and the school system, and the county. County is already in the process, have done that. Yesterday we spoke to the college, and then I think on the 8th of March, the school board will have it before them. It is one of those, the program has been in existence in Coffeyville. It's not new. We plan to tweak things a little and make more awareness to the program and the benefits of it. But as I spoke to the college, I wanted to assure that to all entities, this could be compared to a way of tax increment financing in the way that you will always get the current value of the property right now. The improvements are what the rebate, the tax rebate is for. So you always get the base, which you will not be losing anything by moving through this program. There is a performance, and that is that they will not get the tax rebate until they have performed the construction, either new or rehabilitation of the property. So I think that left all the members of all the entities involved with the understanding that you're not giving up property taxes. In a sense, you will get those higher property taxes if not start seeing a soon return, but at least at 10 years down the road. So it does promote growth, and it helps. This is available for commercial and residential. It is one of those that those predominantly would do it, and their investment has to be 5% or greater than the current value of the property. So it is a good program. It is one of those, we hope to see more participation. We will, as staff, if approved by the commission and the other entities, we will advertise that heavily. And as you know, we do have a housing department now. So that is other things that were pointed out. This is transferable. It is one of those that you can have a new structure built, and once it is sold, it would be transferred to the new owner of the property. It is one of those that is performance-based. Simply is they will have to pay their property taxes every year to keep qualifying for the program. Should they not, then they will be disqualified. So it is one of those that they'll pay the taxes in, and then they'll get the rebated taxes back. So that is a good all-around performance to do something, and to receive something, you have to perform also. So there is some clawbacks in it, but it's a great program to move the city forward. There is certain things that we want to try to emphasize across the city and make more awareness that, Coffeyville, and through programs that we are going to have, there's a lot of uses for this. I did state that, as you're aware, it has been roughly a little over 10 years since the last homes were built. We have the process of 2 homes being built right now. So they will qualify the program. If you notice in the date, it is effective as of September. So they will qualify for that. It is, like I say, is a good program that we hope to be utilized not only by residential but commercial. So I'd be glad to answer any questions if the commission might have.
I'd just like to highlight a few of the other positives out of this. So,
You bet.
it does require people to acquire their building permit in order to
Yes, sir.
qualify for this. It also requires them to be inspected and pass inspections, and so it promotes that as well. I've used this program myself personally, and it's been a great program. It does promote people paying their taxes on time, so you
Yes.
don't want to be delinquent or you'll get knocked out of the program. So I think the transferable parts in addition to the old plan, I don't remember it being transferable, but I think that's a great selling point for this as well. And I think it's important to reiterate, it does not take taxes off of the books that we're currently collecting. So
Yes, sir.
it delays receiving some of those till later down the road, but it does promote people to actually do some work on their property. So I
Yes.
think that's a very positive thing. So,
Yes, you're very good. Anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Okay. Then if nothing else, we will close our public hearing, and then we will move on to the actual resolution R-21-10, a resolution to adopt a neighborhood revitalization plan and authorize the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement. Any more questions or?
Mayor, if there are no questions, I'll move to approve resolution R21-10 as presented.
Okay,
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve Resolution R-21-10 as presented. Mayor Van Oster.
aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay, we have no old business at hand, so we'll move on to new business. We have Resolution R-21-11, which is a resolution of authorization to submit a grant application to the Kansas State Historical Society for a 2021 Kansas Rural Preservation Grant. Our Special Projects Coordinator, Mr. Chuck Shively, will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, the Kansas State Historical Society has grant funds available for work on historic properties within rural Kansas. It requires a 10% match from the city with a maximum grant of $50,000. City staff is preparing an application for the maximum grant amount for preservation work on the Perkins Building, also known as Old Condon Bank Building. The deadline for the application submittal is March 1st. The metal facade on that building has damage from weather and age, hail, which allows water to get into and behind the metal. And that proposed grant, if successful, would be used to pay for repairs of the facade and the building. The building qualifies for the grant program requirements. So I recommend approval of the resolution authorizing completion and submittal of the grant application and authorizing the mayor to sign the assurances document and any other related required documents. Be happy to answer any questions.
Our part of that was 5,600, something like that?
Yeah, 55,056.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it was really interesting to me on this check when you read through these, the rules on this. There's, I counted no less than 12 different acts you have to comply with in order to receive these funds. And people wonder why these grants get so complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's our cost.
Yeah.
Our cost.
10% match.
Yeah, 10% match, or 5,500, 5,600, something like that.
So, yeah.
That'll sure help, because the metal that's on that, you can't just find that anywhere. So I don't
No,
know if we have a
and-
source for replacement pieces yet, or,
What we're looking at doing is power washing, caulking with a good silicone caulk, and painting the whole thing with a high-quality paint. Sean Turner of Trans Systems went over there with me today and went up on the roof, and we kind of came up with a general scope, and he's going to refine it.
I know
When you
last
get
time they
up
worked
there,
on it-
you see it's in much worse shape than it
Yeah.
looks from the
Last time
ground.
they worked on it, I think they put a new roof on, but those
Yeah.
domes, they had holes in the top of them,
Yep.
hail and everything, just age. I mean,
Yeah, and those holes have remained, and
yeah.
so
So yeah, we can do
they're
anything
not
to it.
getting
This would be
any
great.
better.
Great for it.
You gotta keep water out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Correct.
We're going to have another
good.
building with problems.
That's
Yeah.
right.
More problems.
And a great historical building to preserve.
That's
We
right.
can get that taken care of. So does anybody have anything else? If not, I'll move to approve Resolution R-21-11 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve Resolution R-21-11 as presented. Commissioner Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck, very much.
Good work.
I seen Chris running around the corner.
I do
My
too. I was
goodness.
looking at him.
Here he comes. can
There he
see him.
is.
He was hustling.
Okay. We will now move on to Resolution R-21-12, which is a resolution to establish a service contract with the Endeavor Hotel Group. Our Director of IT, Mr. Chris Felix, will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. The Fairbridge Inn is looking to become part of the, just lost it, the Best Western franchise. One of the things that they require is to have a waiver on file that their current internet provider meets certain criteria that corporate has set up for them. So what this contract does is it allows Fairbridge to apply for that waiver. They have to have a service contract on file with the ISP to get that. So that's what this does for them tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions. We're not doing anything necessarily new that we haven't done for them. There's one of the things that they're requiring, or Best Western is requiring, is a landing page for people when they go to get on the internet. They don't currently have one. The system we have down there does do it. We just haven't turned it on. So there's some additional fees we're going to charge them to set that up, and that is laid out in this contract as well. So I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
Is there an ending date to this contract, or
No.
is it just open-ended?
Open-ended.
And just so that everybody knows, because some people listening especially may not realize that Fairbridge Inn, they've been that for a little while,
Mhm.
but that's the former Sleep Inn
Yes.
location, just so that people know. So, anything else?
No questions from me?
Okay,
Looks like you've done a lot of work on this, Chris.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve Resolution R-21-12 as presented.
Second?
Motion is made by Commissioner Maxon, seconded by Commissioner York to approve Resolution R-21-12 as presented. Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to Resolution R-21-13, which is a resolution of the City of Coffeyville, Kansas, declaring a local state of financial emergency. We will have our city manager, Mr. Markall, making comments for us.
Mayor, Commissioners, what you have before you is a declaration that is a result of the 2-week period where not only our city and our county, but our entire state and other states experienced sub-zero temperatures and wind chills that took us very, very low into the minus temperatures. As a result of that, there was the cost to purchase electric energy and natural gas exceeded 10 to 200 times the amount. It is one of those that not only the city of Coffeyville and other cities, but other counties, in which our county declared and adopted a resolution similar to this. It is one of those that to let the governor of the state that already declared a state of disaster emergency on February 14th of 2021. It also has been by the Board of County Commissioners on February 22nd of 2021 that the state of emergency exists. So if the commission for their consideration would be to adopt this and have the mayor sign that during this period there was a local state of financial emergency as a result of the sub-zero temperatures. So this is in line. I know later on Mr. Shook will kind of explain how things went on, but this is before you that is confirming that a state of financial emergency exists. And we will know more of that as you've already seen on national news and that as time goes on, the financial burden that would possibly be placed on the citizens of Coffeyville, the citizens of Montgomery County, and the citizens of the state of Kansas.
So by passing this, Mark, does this open us up for any
Emergent, any aid that possibly come out. It also sends a voice to the governor that, you know, the cities are facing, and the citizens of financial hardship.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, if not, I will move to approve Resolution R-21-13 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Bauer to approve Resolution R-21-13 as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxson.
Aye.
Okay, moving on, we will now hear from our city manager.
Mayor, Commissioners, first I'd like to say before asking Mr. Shook to come before the commission and not only, you know, touch on the things that happened, but also that way any of the viewers, you know, watching the commission meeting tonight might have a little better understanding of what all went on during this crisis that many states, in fact 14, were included. But I'd like to thank the crews, and I know you're going to do that. You've spoken throughout this crisis, not only to electric crews, to staff that was doing snow removal and de-icing and putting sand down. I know you've expressed that throughout this, but I'd like to state on my behalf a personal thank you to them. You know that they went above and beyond. Every department, including, you know, the law enforcement and fire. We kept working through this. We protected the community, but there were some things that I have never seen a city do. Usually you take care of the emergency routes. And that's your responsibility in any kind of storm is to clear those. Because of the situation, the public service, the crews went above and beyond and went out into residential. as fast as they could because they knew because of the ice, because of the situation, they wanted to get out there and protect them if they should need to travel. So I'd like to thank Public Service, and then it goes into water. This morning I spoke of that things have improved, but as you're aware, national, there's the conservation of water. It's not to sit there and say water's contaminated as much as it is to sit there and say due to main breakage and that water is getting hard to come by at this moment. Our crews, I just want to thank water and wastewater, and everybody's pitched in, but you know the line maintenance crews, they've I stopped by last night and they were out, and you could tell they were tired, but they're still working as hard as ever. And Jim's got a great group and I want to thank Jim, because while each group's going, Jim's still up telling them where to go. So it's I just want to thank them. They didn't gripe and groan. And like I say, I've never seen, usually by the time you get to residential, it's melted. But these guys went out and went above and beyond because they knew that you just can't drive on ice. And so thank you, Jim, and thank your crews. And I know you're going to do that, but I would also like to thank all the departments because they worked through this too. Law enforcement was out there doing their job in sub-zero temperatures. So, and same with fire, and they fight with water. So, not a good thing in cold and water mix. But I'd like it to turn over to the director of the electric utility, Mike Shook, to give a brief explanation of kind of what's going on, we'll sort this out as we further go along, but kind of bring up what was the situation in Coffeyville.
Thank you, Mark. Mayor, Commissioners. I sent you all an email yesterday evening, kind of a PowerPoint, trying to explain the situation, and you've seen it on TV, on all the TV channels. So I'd like to start just asking if I can answer any questions that you all may have regarding the event last week.
So I've got some questions, but I'll let you go ahead first, and I'll hit you. Yeah.
It's and I don't even know where to begin. I mean, it's so multifaceted. I guess what I'd like to explain first is the utility, along with Mark and Stephanie, we made the decision at the beginning of this event when we saw the gas prices skyrocket to over $600 an MMBTU. We made the decision to put our generating units into outage, because the fear was that if we could get the gas at that point in time, the electric prices had not risen at that point to a level that we actually felt we would lose money. We figured today, if we would have generated one of those days, our normal cost for natural gas would have been $5,000. At the prices that we saw for that day, it would have been $7.3 million for that day to generate, and our energy payment for the numbers we saw would have been $6 million. So we would have lost $1 million that day alone. So we made the decision to put the units into outage under fuel constraints, and then the next day it turned out that we couldn't even source natural gas, so we didn't have a choice after that. We did run our Black Start diesel units. The mayor knows because she had to sign the agreement a week ago Saturday evening.
Saturday night.
In a partnership with GRDA, just to keep the grid stable. They wanted any generating units that we could get online to bring online, so we did that. We ran them for 5 days. We ran close to 20,000 gallons of diesel fuel through the units. It wasn't an easy task. We were lucky our maintenance people just about lived in the diesel unit complex, trying to keep them going through the cold weather. Another key point, the rolling blackouts. Even if we would have had every generating unit that Coffeyville has online, we would have still experienced a blackout, because that was mandated by the Southwest Power Pool. there was not enough generation online for the 14 states. We did an excellent job as far as a community. Normally, we would see our electric load for that day. I would estimate it normally see it around 20 to 25 megawatts. On the day that we had to do the rolling blackouts, we were at 15 megawatts. So we put out the plea for help for asking the community to conserve, and they cut 10 megawatts just voluntarily. And then we had to drop another 15 megawatts between us and CRNF and Messer. And I would like to give a big shout out to CRNF for dropping 10 megawatts, because that was load that the community did not have to drop.
So Acme Foundry also helped, didn't
They did. They made the decision not to pour metal, and they were closed down all week. We had conversations with Mr. Tapman and Mark McCullough, and the whole community really pitched in. There was a lot of businesses that chose to reduce their electric load, reduce their demand, or simply shut down during the event. So had they not done that, I think we would have had a lot more rolling blackouts in Coffeyville.
So,
So you kind of addressed some of the costing in that, or is there other costing issues you want to point out, or?
We won't know the true effect as far as a cost to the electric utility and to the customers for probably a month or 2 months. We're lucky in that GRDA has a power cost adjustment, and their billing mechanism the same as the city does. Rates won't go up, but every utility has a fuel cost or a power cost adjustment. That's where this, doesn't matter whether it's Coffeyville or Evergy or what utility, that's where they'll see the true effect of this for the months to come. Luckily, GRDA has a rolling 12-month average PCA, so hopefully they'll spread that out
Right.
over those 12 months or longer. I don't want to speak for GRDA,
Right.
but that's, and we will even look at that depending on what the cost, what we can do to lessen the impact to our customers and our public. I can tell you from just a generation utility standpoint, just taking those, even though we missed several $1 million hits on those days, we were in outage for 10 days across 4 units, and just that alone cost us $150,000 in capacity payments. We purchased natural gas from Kansas Municipal Gas Agency. We saw the gas prices again rise from $2 to $635. One of their suppliers put in a collateral call that $1 million had to be paid within 2 days. So every city that's a member of that had to pony up. Our share of that was $118,000 that we had to pay yesterday. So we'll stay on the cost as they come in, and we'll keep you updated. But it's going to hurt the entire 14 states, and nobody knows the true impact that we're all going to see from this. I've been with the city through in the electric industry for 35 years. I've never seen anything like this. And as far as our people, our generation people, I'm blessed with a good staff. I had Tony Lawson, Don Onslager, Amy Rinker, Kevin Mercersburg was the operator on duty when we did the blackouts. They did an outstanding job, and I want to thank them.
They did a great job of minimizing the impact of residential, and that I really appreciated, so, yep.
They did, and Jim, actually, even though Jim has everything pretty much but electric, police, and fire, Jim helped on that. We were able to shut down the wastewater treatment plant, which was about a meg to a meg and a half megawatt of power, and we shut that off. Jim said we could shut that off, and that helped. That was 500 homes that we didn't have to turn off because of that call that Jim made. So
Yeah.
it was a team effort throughout.
was. You know, I came up here that morning and just to see, I was just interested to see how this, the blackout rolled through. And it was pretty deep up here for a while. I mean, those 2 hours, when you wanted to make sure, I know when Stephanie and Chris were working on making sure those calls were going out, things weren't quite right at first. And I know they were really worried about that, because they wanted to let the people know. And I know you all out there were watching and doing shut off or whatever, whenever, and it was amazing, really,
City
to
Hall-
partake on that.
Absolutely. City Hall staff worked well with the
And-
utility staff to get the information out. I know Stephanie, Chris, Mark were on the phone through the conference phones when we were in 2 control rooms in
Right.
electric. You were probably
I was
there
listening.
as we were doing rolling blackouts. So
Yes.
yeah, Stephanie and her team, Melissa, was helped get the message out to the community. So yeah, I was completely impressed with how everybody worked together.
And like you said, to have not gone through this before, and to me, it looked very well orchestrated and gone through. I know you have notes and things that you'll make.
Attempted
and-
organized chaos.
Yes. Well, it looked pretty good to me. But, it just, I know you've got your notes made and things that you maybe would do different or would not do different or would however, but it was all, you all hit everything right on track. And like I said, to minimize the time and the blackout, because your blackout was about an hour and a half maybe? Or an hour?
It was an hour for most of the
Okay.
for the local residents. Again, CRNF agreed to stay
Right.
10 to 11 megawatts down for 2 hours. We opened a circuit breaker in the area of the old Southwire building. When we went to reclose it after an hour, the breaker froze up because it was so cold, and it took us 4 hours to get that repaired where we could close that in. So that was an unfortunate part of the event that somebody was impacted that long.
Yeah, yeah.
That wasn't our intent.
So
Right.
when you look at other areas, though, Mike, I mean, that's pretty minimal for what some of the folks in the nation are going through from an
That's right.
outage standpoint. So
That is correct. So I think, like you said, and our people did well. They did.
Absolutely.
They did
Absolutely. And
well.
we've started action reviews and lessons learned from the events, from the running the black start generators. And so we are reviewing our actions and seeing if there's room for improvements anywhere.
not to get personal, but congratulations.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
New grandson.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, all
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
So
you,
I
Mike.
just have one item, and I don't know for sure. Feel free to defer to Stephanie if it's a Stephanie.
I generally do.
Yes. So I don't know where this article was, but I had multiple people reach out to me after they read it, and it was saying that the bill across the 14 states, which I thought at one point was 17, but that it was going to go up, an individual's utility bill was going to go up 25 times what it normally is. I tried to reassure them that there is no way that we would think it's realistic that we would send one single bill, at 25 times if their normal bill was $500, 25 times that.
I don't think we would. Again, we have no idea because we're looking at a 5 to 7 day period where everything was just out of whack. I don't know any other way to explain it. But then we've got to aggregate that over the 28-day month.
Yeah.
So we don't know where it's going to land at. I think it'll be spread out at least over 2 months when the bill, because we pay GRDA, we pay the Southwest Power Pool for transmission. Transmission was congested on that day. Those prices skyrocketed. Commissioner Bauer, you mentioned, or one of you mentioned the SPP power bill that's $500,000 every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know where that's going to be. The GRDA bill's 2.1 to 2.3. We don't know where that's going to be. We will do everything in our power to minimize the impact to our customers. I serve on Kansas Municipal Gas Agency Board. There's cities, I'm not going to mention the city's name, but they own the gas utility in that community like we own the electric and water. Their normal monthly gas bill was $200,000. They're looking at a $10 million bill for 7 days.
I believe it.
So that's why we needed to file the declaration of emergency, and hopefully the people in Topeka and the people in Washington will get out and offer some help to the communities.
And thank you also for bringing out about what happened and what you did out there at the new generation plant. Because we had a lot of people that didn't understand why we have this plant and why we were having such trouble. They didn't understand, like you mentioned, the gas prices and so forth, and why you chose not to continue, to shut those down. And then, getting the diesel units going and so forth. So there's a lot of different things into that.
There's,
It is
there's a lot
just-
to it.
There is a lot
And a
more
lot
than
of it we
just-
didn't understand going in
Yeah.
because we had never experienced anything
Yes.
like this before
That's
either,
right.
so.
So, thank
There's
you
gonna
for
be a lot of
clarifying
lessons
that.
learned across a lot of states.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll figure this out for 5 to 10 years, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Any more questions?
Very
Yeah.
much. I don't
Thank
have
you,
any-
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
I just wanted to say, since it's in my time, that Mike does not handle. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike does not handle compliments very well. He is, our understanding, and I learned a lot, and it is one of those that what I understood from electric was the old school, and that changed in 2014. It is, I thought that it was, this is your electric, and that's what you do, and yes, you might pay to transfer, or transmission, but those things are not in our control anymore, and we are at the subject to SPP and GRDA. And that was a learning experience, because I, like probably the community, I can see the plan, and things are working, so, but that's not necessarily how electricity changed, and the creation of SPP. So it is,
SPP actually came into effect, back in '04, '05, something like that, wasn't it, Mike?
I don't remember when, I think there was just a transmission organization.
Right. Initially, yeah.
Basically, the federal government mandated they control the system
Mhm.
in these states.
Well, so I remember them being formed after, so they had the East Coast blackout, right? And that was due to, if I remember correctly, it was vegetation in transmission lines in Ohio that caused the whole East Coast to black out.
I think 2003.
Yeah, and so out of that was formed these power pools that control each region, and, but I couldn't remember what year it was. I was just thinking it was '03 or '04 when those were formed.
That they
Yeah.
became a regional transmission
Yep.
organization.
Yep.
They were still there prior to that,
Yep.
and they just wheeled power in a small area. And
Well,
after
and
that,
so
after
like-
that blackout,
Like us with our own generation, we controlled our own transmission. We didn't have anybody telling us what to do with it at that point, but after that, then, yeah.
it all changed in
Everything
2014.
changed, yes, yeah.
I forgot to mention, today was the first day that we brought our generators out of outage.
So what's the MMBTU cost right now? Yeah, you know,
265 when I left the office.
it's a little more doable. Yeah,
From 635 to 265.
yeah.
But today was the first day we could even acquire natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
but
Thank you.
Thank you.
he doesn't take compliments that well, so I'd like to personally thank him for not only explaining to staff what was going on and coaching us through that, but he has some connections that I want to say through his experience, but because of who Mike is, that helped us across the state. And that is there's probably a lot of organizations out there that didn't get the information that Mike was able to obtain just because of his connections and his knowledge. So, yeah, we put his picture up on the wall and we go around and we touch it each time we see it. But thank you, Mike, for what all you did. And of course, Stephanie, she keeps this in line with money. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those by the commission.
I don't have any questions, but also at this time, if Mr. Jim Bradshaw could come up and kind of go over what public
bet.
service is still doing
Yeah, right,
at this time,
right outside.
right outside.
Yeah, yeah. You got a tough act to follow, Jim.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, mine's at the my picture's at the post office. We'll work through that. I'll start out with the water crews. They were the first ones to respond for the first event that we experienced, which was on February the 7th. That was the ice that we experienced out on the streets. That event lasted until approximately February the 11th, and that's where we utilized approximately 345 ton of mixed material out on our streets. Keep in mind, we only keep 400 ton of this material in stock. We go under contract in August for our salt material from Central Salt. Otherwise, you don't get it. So the second event that they responded to, which started on February the 14th and lasted up until February the 19th. That mainly dealt with the crews blading, and that's where we got into some residential streets too as well to help clean some of the areas out. And we used approximately another 45 ton of that material. So we used approximately 390 ton of our mixed material that we normally keep in our box out at the shop. So we do have material on order that we will mix and store and cover in the event that we might need it. So we'll be ready. We'll be ready. But the crews right now, what they're basically doing is tearing the trucks down. This puts a hard toll on our vehicles. We go in and we go through the front ends. We change all the oils simply for the hours and the amount of strain that we put on the motors. So we have 6 vehicles that we use for snow removal, which also includes chippers. 3 of them trucks are 1 tons with blades. The other 2 are, we got 2 that's 2 ton, and then I've got a big 5 ton unit that we use strictly for the highways. So they're in the process right now going through that equipment, getting them set up. We're putting our patch box on one of them now because we know that that'll be the next step. We'll be out doing street patching, so we're set up to do that. And we do have material on hand to get that done. The street sweeper was put back out today because now we'll go through the process of getting that material picked back up. We will be back in the downtown area early Friday morning. We'll also be down there tomorrow, or Thursday, I'm sorry, getting some of the material off the sidewalks and out into the off street, so he'll be able to get it picked up Friday morning. The material we use does become very slip, you can slide on it pretty easy, so it is important we get out and try to get that material picked up as soon as possible. So that kind of covers the street side of it. We're kind of on a downward slide on that right now than just going through the equipment. On the water distribution side, their events actually started on February the 14th, and they're still ongoing. The numbers are changing as far as the leak counts that we're dealing with. As of right now, with the one they're repairing tonight, we're at 32. We have 6 pending. Before I came up, the crew left and put some barricades on another one north of here. So we have 6 pending that we're aware of right now. So they'll continue working on them to get caught up on the water leaks. The water plant has stabilized. We have started to ramp down a little bit. We've got a good reserve in the reservoirs right now. So we're able to start ramping the plant down. We're just a little under 7 million gallons a day, about 6.9 million. We were at 7.3 as of this morning, so we were able to start ramping down. We were in contact with CVR during our stressful events whenever we were having trouble maintaining. And like they did with electric, they also cut back on their water draw. They're still cut back at this point. We've been in contact with them every day, and they're going to maintain that until we give them the go-ahead to ramp back up a little bit. So they worked with us real well, too, as well. So water crews, also on top of the main leaks, we've dealt with about 75 service line calls. That's where people was called in where they didn't have water. And we go out and we pull the meter, we check it. We did have some meters freeze up during this event. Most of them, though, the service lines on the customer side is froze up. We had some of our own buildings freeze up. Some of them are still without water because they're not at the point where I can release crews to go in and do the repairs. City Rec was one of them. They had a plumber come in and do a temporary repair which didn't hold. So now they're waiting on the plumber on some permanent parts to come back in and do a more permanent fix with City Rec. So they were without water also as well because they had issues in that building. So, but that's just kind of what they've dealt with. Overtime hours for that department from February the 14th through the payroll ending, which was Sunday evening, was 404 hours. Public service, with the street removal process, we were at 190. Public service is operated a little bit different because I'm able to split them into 2 different crews. And then we basically change the employees' hours. So we have a crew, we basically work 10, 12-hour shifts, but we're able to switch their hours basically and have them come in and do different shifts. So the overtime hours is a little bit less for them by the way we were able to handle the crews. Water crew, we basically have 1 crew. Whenever we have weather like this, it consists of a 6-man crew. So, you know, we run pretty lean in that department whenever it comes to work like this. So, but they stand up and they do an excellent job.
So that's 404 hours over 6 guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've been putting in some time.
They've been putting in a lot of time. If you look at their sheets, you know, they average, you know, some average over 70. Some average, though, are anywhere to 50 to 55 hours.
And how many of those guys had personal issues where their water froze up and they couldn't get home because they're out
Some of
working?
them lost
Yeah.
electric because of some of the energy
Yeah.
source that they feed from. They wasn't fortunate enough like us where we were able to keep our residents, most of them on, but they did lose power. Some of them did. And you're right, they deal with the same issues at their house that everybody else does. So, most of theirs was, you know, as the leaks popped up, they were called out. Most of it, though, was once they were out, they stayed out for multiple hours at a time. So it did put a toll on them. And the same way with their equipment, too, as well. With public service, we do have 2 mechanics that we utilize, and they also help out at any other department that needs it. But whenever I do the crews in the street department, we have a mechanic on each shift as well. So that shift, each shift right there, you've got an average of 5 people on it, and one of them is a mechanic. So, you know, we run pretty lean too on a shift on the street crew whenever we're out doing snow removal.
I talked to one of our local plumbers about 4 or 5 days ago, and he said he was backed up 80 service calls at
Yeah.
that point, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
You know, and they are answering their phone, but that's what they're telling them. They're backed up at least 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks on an average. So, you know, it's, but we're still going out. If they don't have water, we're checking our side of the meter to make sure we're okay, because we have had some issues on our side. So we are taking that step to make sure we're okay on our side, so. We did spray approximately a little over 8,000 gallons of brine material on the bridges and underpasses and some of the other areas. Some of the major intersections, we were able to get some down on it. The material that we use and what other cities use too, once the temperature reaches below 10 degrees, it's kind of non-effective.
Yeah.
It works, it gives you a little bit of traction, but it's kind of non-effective. The key to that material is you get traffic moving and it generates heat. But once the temperature drops below 2 and especially gets down into the 0 range, you're using it just strictly for traction. So, and like I say, I did cover the water plant. We are stabilizing back on it. The water was always safe to drink. We just got into some critical levels. So we were just asking the citizens to conserve a little bit till we could get Brant back up at the plant, so. Okay,
Good.
all right, thank you.
You
Yes,
had a tough
thank you,
act to
Jim.
follow, but you came through, Jim.
Yes.
Do what?
You had a tough act to follow, but you came through. so.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
And next to Mike's picture is Jim's picture.
Okay, all right. kind of blended, and we've all made our comments, so I don't know if anybody has anything in specific they want to say. I've known I've already extended my appreciation to Mike and to Jim, and have kept in touch. And Stephanie too, and Melissa, you did a great job getting everything out on Facebook. I could tell when you got it out there, and day and night. And so you all did a great job coordinating together to make that happen. So it's really appreciated. And yes, it was, the longevity of this was something else. But I really felt like the city did a well job, and our community did a good job of pulling through when requested to cut back on water and when requested to cut back on electricity. And that's, to me, that's what makes Coffeyville the city it is all of us pushing together to do that. So it just, kudos to everybody that in Coffeyville, because it took everybody to do this. So, anybody else have anything specific?
I just invite anybody, if you run into the water guys out working, or if you run into our fire or our police or any of our city employees, shake their hand, tell them thank you. They've done a tremendous job. I'll fist bump in today's world, right? So, yeah, you can't shake
You
hands
knew what you
anymore.
meant.
Yeah. But, I mean, these guys have worked their tails off this last couple of weeks, and not that they don't every day, but they have exceptionally come through on this. So, like Anne Marie said, I just want to say thank you. I mean, they're
Yep, definitely.
tremendous people. And thank you to Mr. Hall as well. So he's been right in there pitching away as well,
Yep.
and so.
We're still not putting your picture up, though.
Nobody's touching it either.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
I don't.
Okay. If not, then I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Bauer to adjourn. Can I see a show of hands?